The day my mother died, the house became strangely quiet. Not because people stopped talking. Because the only voice that had ever made it feel like home was gone. I stood alone in the kitchen, my fingers resting on the old wooden counter where Mom used to roll pie dough every Sunday. The scent of cinnamon had long faded, but somehow I could still imagine it lingering in the walls. Behind me, my older brother Daniel cleared his throat. "We should start sorting everything today." His wife, Melissa, folded her arms. "The realtor is already waiting." I turned around slowly. "The realtor?" Daniel sighed as if I were being difficult. "We're selling the house." I stared at him. "Mom's been gone for less than 24 hours. Melissa shrugged. "The market is hot." My younger sister, Claire, wouldn't even meet my eyes. "It makes the most sense." I swallowed hard. "But Mom wanted this house to stay in the family." Daniel laughed. "Did she tell you that?" "Less. No paperwork." He smiled coldly. "So it doesn't matter." I had lived there longer than anyone. When Dad died 15 years earlier, I stayed. I repaired the roof, painted every room, paid utility bills whenever Mom's pension wasn't enough. While Daniel built his career 3 states away. While Claire traveled the world posting smiling vacation photos online. Every Christmas, every birthday, every doctor's appointment, I was there. Not because anyone asked, because she was my mother. The reading of the will happened 3 days later. Mom divided her savings equally among the 3 of us. But the house, there was no written instruction beyond splitting ownership. Daniel smiled immediately. "Perfect. We sell it and divide the money." I shook my head. "I want to keep it." Melissa rolled her eyes. "You can't afford to buy us out." Claire finally spoke. "I honestly don't care about the house." Daniel interrupted. "But I care about money." He looked directly at me. "If you can't pay market value, we're selling." I begged. "I'll get a loan." Daniel checked his watch. "You have 30 days. 30 days. Banks rejected me twice. My salary as a school librarian wasn't enough. Every night I sat on Mom's porch swing wondering how memories could suddenly receive a price tag. On the 26th day Daniel called. "Any luck?" "No." "Then we're signing tomorrow." The house sold within 48 hours. A young investment company bought it for nearly $600,000. Daniel couldn't stop smiling. We all made good money. He acted as though he'd won the lottery. Claire transferred her share into travel investments. Melissa immediately ordered a luxury SUV. Nobody asked where I planned to live. Not once. I packed my mother's dishes into cardboard boxes with tears blurring every label. Before leaving, I walked through every room. The hallway where Mom marked our heights with pencil. Dad's workshop. The tiny bedroom where I spent nights reading beneath blankets with a flashlight. I touched the front door one last time. "I'm sorry, Mom." Then I left. What nobody knew was that I wasn't giving up. 2 weeks after the sale, I searched public records. The investment company specialized in buying older homes. Most were flipped within months. This house wasn't emotional to them. It was inventory. I called anyway. "I'm interested in purchasing the Maple Street property." The representative laughed. "We just bought it." "I know. It's not currently listed." "I'll pay more." Silence. Then, "How much more?" Everything changed after that conversation. For years, I had quietly invested every extra dollar Mom insisted I save. She always said, "Money hidden for the right reason becomes hope." After Dad died, she'd convinced me to buy shares in a small technology company. I almost sold them several times. She always stopped me. "Leave them alone." Those shares had grown enormously. Even I hadn't realized how much. Combined with my inheritance, I suddenly had enough barely. 3 weeks later, I signed papers. No family, no celebration, no announcement, only me. And the keys. The house was mine again. The first night back, I didn't unpack anything. I simply sat on the living room floor. The same place where Mom used to read bedtime stories. The silence no longer felt empty. It felt like home had forgiven me. I told no one. For 6 months, neighbors assumed I was renting. The investment company never mentioned the private sale. Life became peaceful. Until Thanksgiving, Daniel invited everyone to his new mansion. He couldn't resist showing off. His dining room looked like a furniture showroom. Melissa proudly announced, "Our house has doubled in value already." Claire smiled politely. Daniel turned toward me. "So, how's apartment life?" I smiled. "It's comfortable." Melissa smirked. "I guess losing the family house taught you a lesson." "What lesson?" "Not getting emotionally attached to buildings." Everyone laughed. Except me. 2 weeks later, the town hosted its annual Christmas home tour. Our neighborhood had participated for decades. To everyone's surprise, The Maple Street house appeared on the official list. Daniel frowned. That's Mom's house. Melissa looked confused. I thought an investor owned it. Claire whispered, maybe they renovated it. Daniel grinned. We should go see what they did. The day arrived. Cars lined both sides of the street. Christmas lights covered every tree exactly the way Mom loved them. A fresh wreath hung on the familiar front door. Daniel walked confidently toward it. Then, the door opened. I stepped outside, holding a tray of homemade cookies, exactly like Mom always had. Nobody spoke. Melissa blinked repeatedly. Daniel looked behind me, then back at me. What are you doing here? He laughed. No, seriously? I wasn't joking. Claire stared at the mailbox. The nameplate read, Emily Carter. Mine. Daniel's smile disappeared. You rented it. Melissa frowned. You work here? No. Daniel's voice grew louder. Then explain. I smiled gently. I bought it. Silence. Absolute silence. Daniel actually laughed again. Impossible. I handed him a business card from the closing attorney. My name is on every document. His face turned pale. You bought the house. Yes. When? 3 weeks after you sold it. Melissa whispered. How? I made the company an offer. Claire covered her mouth. You never told us. You never asked. Daniel's expression shifted from shock to anger. No. You embarrassed us. You embarrassed yourselves. People nearby had begun listening. Daniel lowered his voice. We should have been offered first. You already sold it. You could have told us. I looked into his eyes. When exactly? Before you laughed about my apartment. Or after you celebrated getting rid of Mom's memories. He had no answer. Claire began crying. I didn't know you'd really wanted to keep it. I smiled sadly. I told you. She looked down. I thought you were just emotional. I was. Then I opened the front door wider. The hallway looked exactly as Mom left it. Family photos returned to every wall. Dad's old clock ticked once again. The porch swing had been restored. The rose garden bloomed. Nothing had been modernized. Nothing erased. Everything had been protected. An elderly neighbor walked over. Mrs. Henderson smiled warmly. Emily saved this house. She looked proudly at Daniel. Your mother would be smiling today. Daniel couldn't even look at me. Months passed. My brother called several times. Not to apologize. To'll buy your share. There is no share. I'll pay above market. It's not for sale. Everyone has a price. I answered softly. No, not everyone. Then I hung up. Claire visited one spring afternoon. She brought flowers. Not excuses. I've been thinking about Mom. We sat together on the porch swing. She cried. I should have fought for this place. I squeezed her hand. You can still come home. She hugged me for a long time. Sometimes forgiveness begins with one honest conversation. Daniel never changed, but life did. Every birthday, every Christmas, every Sunday pie, the family gathered again. Not because someone inherited the house, because someone refused to let love be sold. Years later, when my own granddaughter asked why tiny pencil marks covered the hallway wall, I smiled. They're our family's story. Can we paint over them? I laughed softly. Oh, sweetheart. Some things become more valuable because time leaves its mark. She nodded seriously, then added her own tiny height mark beside the others. Another generation. Another memory. Exactly where my mother always hoped it would be. As I looked around the house that almost disappeared forever, I finally understood what Mom had tried to teach me all those years. A home isn't built from wood. It isn't measured in square feet. It isn't worth what buyers are willing to pay. A home is the only place where love keeps living long after the people we love are gone. And that was something my family never understood until it was far too late.